Hi everyone, Assalamu alaikum. Today's video is on algebraic fractions. We've got a few questions, different kinds of questions, and we're gonna see how to solve them. So the first question here is 3 over b plus 2 over a minus b. Generally speaking, when we've got fractions, we cannot add or subtract them until the denominators are the same. So that's our first starting point. I'm going to have 3 over b over here, and to make the denominators the same, what I'm going to do is I'm going to multiply this fraction by this denominator, and I'm going to then multiply this fraction by this denominator. So let's start off. So I've written down 3 over b, and I'm going to multiply it top and bottom by a minus b. And I forgot the multiplication sign. Right. Plus, and then here I'm going to have 2 over a minus b, and I'm going to multiply both sides, the numerator and denominator by b. Now before I continue, since this denominator a minus b has two terms, I need to make sure that it is in a pair of brackets. Okay, and then I expand this out. So 3 times a is 3a minus 3b. 3 times minus b is minus 3b over, and this will become ab. B times a is ab, and b times minus b is minus b squared, plus 2b over 2 times b is 2b, and then a times b is ab, and then minus b times b is minus b squared. And I'm going to split my board so that I can use the other side. Okay, so when I go to simplify this, I can write it down as one fraction now, 3a minus 3b plus 2b. The reason I can write it down as one fraction is because the denominators now are the same. So that'll be ab minus b squared, and minus 3b and 2b are like terms, so minus 3 plus 2 will give me minus 1, so I end up with 3a minus b over ab minus b squared, and that's it. This fraction has been added. It cannot be simplified any further. I cannot cancel out anything from the numerator and denominator because I'm not multiplying anything. It's addition and subtraction in the numerator and denominator. A lot of people make the mistake of cancelling things out. So they'll say, okay, there's a b here in the numerator and there's a b here in the denominator, and they'll cancel it out. You can't do that unless you have factorized the numerator and the denominator, because there's more than one term. Whenever there's more than one term, you need to factorize in order to simplify the fraction. Okay, that's our first question done. We're going to move on to the second question now. Now this question, we have to simplify the fraction. What we have is x squared minus 9 over 2x squared plus 5x minus 3. This is our single fraction. In these kind of questions, the first thing that comes to my mind is factorization. The numerator is x squared, which is a square number, minus 9, which is a square number. So in order to factorize it, what I'm going to do, I'm going to split my board in half, and I'm going to do the two factorizations on a side. So let's, not in half, but into two sections. Okay, so on the right hand side, I'm going to do my factorization. I have fancy blue at the moment, so I'm going to choose blue. Oops. Right. So let's factorize the numerator first. So x squared minus 9. Well, as I mentioned earlier, x squared is a square number and 9 is a square number, and in between the two square numbers we have a negative sign. That means this is the difference of two squares. And to factorize the difference of two squares, what we do is I'm going to find the square root of x squared. The square root of x squared is x, and I'm going to find the square root of 9. The square root of 9 is 3. So I'm going to have x and 3. And this will be x plus 3, and this will be x minus 3. If I expand this, I will get x squared minus 9. That's how you factorize for the difference of two squares. So that's my numerator factorized. I'm going to split my board up over here because I need a lot of space for my denominator. Let's get the pen again. And then we are going to go back to our denominator. It's 2x squared plus 5x minus 3. Now this is in the form ax squared plus bx plus c, where a is equal to 2, the coefficient of x squared is a, in this case it's 2, the coefficient of b is 5, sorry, the coefficient of x is b, and in this case b is 5, and c is the y-intercept, which is minus 3 in this case. So in order to factorize this, first I'm going to multiply a and c, a times c, which is 2 times minus 3. That gives me minus 6. In a pair of brackets I'm putting a multiplication sign, and b is equal to 5. So I need to try and find two numbers that multiply to give me minus 6, and those same numbers add to give me 5. So I have a quick trick to check out. A times c, where's a times c? If a times c is negative, there's only two possible things. One of the numbers is negative and the other number is positive, because when you multiply two numbers and the answer is a negative number, the product of those two numbers is a negative number, one of them has to be positive, because the only way when you multiply two numbers and your answer is negative is if one number is positive and the other one's negative. Okay, how do you then think which is the bigger number? I know two numbers are multiplied to give me minus 6. One has to be positive, the other one has to be negative. But both of those numbers have to add up to give me the number 5. So the numbers I can think of is the number 6 and minus 1. 6 times minus 1 is minus 6. And 6 plus minus 1 is 5. So I'm going to write down my two numbers in probably a different color, brackets, 6 and minus 1. Okay, I'm going to rewrite my expression. 2x squared plus 5x minus 3. Now this 5x I'm going to split into those two numbers. So I've got 2x squared plus 6x. So the 6x is coming from this, minus x. Minus x is the same as minus 1x. So I split this 5x into 6x and minus x, and then that's minus 3 coming from there. Okay, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to factorize these two terms and these two terms separately. Over here, the highest on the left hand side, the highest common factor is 2x, and in brackets I'm going to have x plus 3 when I try and factorize this. And on the right hand side, both of them have a highest common factor of minus 1, and in brackets I'm going to have again x plus 3. these two brackets need to be the same. That's very crucial in this particular method. If they aren't, then you know that your factorization is incorrect. And then the last step, I'm going to have x plus 3 when I factorize the previous line, because that's the highest common factor, times 2x minus 1. So if I was to do this in the exam, I would do the two factorizations on the side, and then I would come back to the original fraction. So x squared minus 9 is x plus 3 times x minus 3. And the denominator, which we have factorized now, is x plus 3 times 2x minus 1. Now we can cancel out the 2x minus 3's. The reason we can cancel out the 2x minus 3's, one from the numerator, one from the denominator, because, sorry, not the x minus 3's, the x plus 3's, my mistake. Right, the reason we can do that is I can't cancel out the x. I can't cancel out 1x with 1x. That x plus 3 represents a number. That x plus 3 is multiplying by another number represented by x minus 3. And in the denominator, the x plus 3 is also multiplying by another number represented by 2x minus 1. Since this bracket is multiplying by this bracket, and this bracket is multiplying by this bracket, there's no addition between the brackets, there's no subtraction between the brackets. In order to simplify, I can cancel out these two fractions, sorry, these two brackets. So it goes into it once, and we are left with x minus 3 over 2x minus 1. And that's it. That's simplified, and we'll carry on with question 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 in the next video. We'll see you then. Thanks for watching.